This is TWiT.
And now it's time for the brown liquor pick of the week.
Hey, you're going to enjoy this part here, Mike. I appreciate that. But I'm in New Zealand, so I figured I should probably talk about a New Zealand whiskey.
All right.
And there are a few. The whiskey industry in New Zealand is small, goes with the size of the country. There's only been maybe a dozen or so distilleries over time. And for quite a while, there were none. In 97, there was a distillery down in the southern, in Dunedin, which is in the South Island, called Willowbank, that shut down in 97. Today, they're up to 10. They're not large, a tiny little one. And the particular one I'm going to talk about is one of the most recent ones, only started back in 2017. It's called Pōkeno. Pōkeno is actually an area. It's south of Auckland, in a somewhat rolling hills, kind of more jungly area than where we are right now. And of course, it's there for one reason: the water. This is a very volcanic island, North Island of New Zealand. And so there are great aquifers and there's phenomenal water in Pōkeno. And that's why they put the distillery there. The barley itself comes from 3 different farms down in the South Island. So the barley is New Zealand grown.
Cool.
It's and then they malt it here on the island and then and grind grist it. They do have Scottish stills that they have imported. The guy behind all of this is a guy named Matt Johns. And Matt is from the UK. He worked many years at Glenmorangie and Tullibardine. And he decided that he wanted to raise his kids in New Zealand. And so came down here and ultimately spent an awful lot of money establishing this distillery. So they do their finishing in bourbon casks, specifically Jack Daniel casks. Because there are not the same restrictions for making whiskey in New Zealand, in fact, there's essentially no rules. While he is following the Scottish style of using only barley and aging in oak, they don't have the same time limitations. So normally you can't call it whiskey unless it's been in the barrel for at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's not a requirement here, although you do tend to age that long. But we're also dealing with a more humid and warmer climate. And so aging rates are going to be higher. And so it doesn't make sense to hold them for quite as long. You're going to get a fair bit of heat in the summertime. You always have the higher humidity, so that you're going to battle with alcohol levels. You're actually going to lose water from the barrel, and the alcohol levels are going to rise when it's that humid. So I think they have to manage the cooling a fair bit. And so the result is a very mild whiskey. It's not old. It hasn't been in the barrel for all that long. So the colors are fairly light. And they don't do a lot of treatment to it. It comes up kind of fruity and citrusy, with still a strong alcohol note. This is not the most impressive whiskey you're ever going to drink, in the sense that it's not that big. If you like that big, rich, Aberlour Bunda flavor, okay, we're not there. This is not a sherry cask. This has not been in for 15 years. This is a younger, lighter, sweeter, sort of lightweight whiskey, and it's a fun drink. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you can find them, they run about $60 US. Pōkeno says they are exporting it to the US, but I could not find any for sale anywhere. Down here, it's about 100 Kiwi dollars to pick a bottle up, easily available. Very small production, only a few tens of thousands of bottles, so you can. But it's a cool drink. There are a few others, but this particular one struck my fancy, and I recommend it if you can find it.
Cool. Yeah, I like all the branding. They're really selling me. I don't drink, but they're really selling me with that. It's like, I want to try that. The volcanic. I don't know. It was working for me. That's a really cool one, for sure.
Often we're buying whiskeys for friends. Like, you got for someone who's a fan of whiskey. This is an unusual whiskey. It's not going to be easy to find. If you can get one, that person's going to covet that bottle, and it comes with a remarkable story of a very young distillery, and in an interesting place.
Very cool. I was going to say at a very remote place.
Very remote, yeah, and remarkable that the internet is held together as well as it had. Don't jinx it.
All right, knock on wood.